if someone told you that pet overpopulation isn't real, that there are enough homes for all the unwanted cats, and that spay abort is inhumane and unnecessary? Those of us in animal welfare know those statements are not only wrong, they're also dangerous. Our panel is here today to clear the air with facts, experience, and compassion. We want to give you an inside look at the reality of the situation, because the truth matters and lives are depending on it. I'm Tammy Kaler, the development coordinator here at LYFF Rescue, and I've got a great group of animal welfare experts here with me. And I'm going to start by directing a couple questions to our licensed veterinarian and then turn the whole group loose. So thank you all for joining us. Doc, can we start with you? Will you give us a sense, introduce yourself, tell us about your veterinary medical experience, and especially as it relates to spay-neuter?
Yeah, you bet. Can you take that? Okay. I'm Dr. Angela Hoffman. I have been active in rescue and veterinary medicine here in San Diego for 30 years. I started, boy, that's hard to say. I started as a volunteer with a rescue group that worked strictly with the San Diego County shelters, and there were 3 at that time, and they only rescued from there. Those are public shelters that are required to take in everything that comes in, so you can imagine the volume and what was seen there. So I started volunteering with them, and then that turned into a paid position as an adoption counselor in the Carlsbad shelter. I then eventually went on to get my vet tech license and worked at clinics, and then, because I can't stand not knowing things, went back to vet school. Since doing that, I've been really involved with several rescues, doing spays and neuters for them, and also other needed surgeries and other care as they come through the rescue pipeline, and there certainly seems to be an unending number of those animals.
I saw some statistics that say only 1 in 4 kittens born outside survives to 6 months. Have you had a lot of strays come in off the streets, and does that statistic align with what you've seen come into your clinic?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, working with a public shelter that has to take in everything, you really get to understand in a way that you can't so much when you're working in a clinic or you're just seeing cats in your neighborhood. You might be able to sort of get an idea, but until you've been someplace as large as San Diego County, I think with the just absolutely unending number of cats, especially that come through, it's really difficult to truly fathom the scope of how good cats are at reproducing and how many of them there are. In case anybody really wants a biology lesson, cats are induced ovulators. So that means that a female cat, as soon as they can get a whiff of a male cat, they can go into heat. There's no timeline here. There's no, they go into heat every 6 months. Absolutely not. They're super good at going into heat, and they're super good at, they can get pregnant while they are nursing a litter. This happens. They can get pregnant with different fathers in the same time frame. They're just excellent at doing what they're doing. Unfortunately, when those animals are born, then they just don't necessarily have all the resources where they are for all of them to survive. And that's really heartbreaking to see, whether you're in a clinic and seeing those come in, and certainly I've seen lots of those where it's, my husband's brother found this under a car, and it's one poor solitary cat that's 2 weeks old and no mom around. That's not the most humane way for that kitten to live. I think we can all kind of agree on that. And then when you consider all the disease that's out there, FIV, FELV, ringworm, fleas, even just simple fleas can cause life-threatening anemia in these kittens. So there's a lot of dangers out there in the world, and it does make it so that many of those kittens and adult cats simply don't last very long out there.
Yeah. So for viewers who might not know, can you please explain what a spay abort procedure actually is? And are we really suffocating kittens and throwing them in the trash?
Oh, no. You don't know what you don't know, right? And I can understand where people might come up with, we fill in the blanks as humans when we don't know what something is happening, how it's happening, and then we go from there. So, no, the procedure is very much, it's the same as in a non-pregnant animal. You go in through an incision in the abdomen, locate the uterus, which is really no problem when they're quite heavy with child there, and then tie off the vessels and remove the uterus. Any fetus that is in there just simply doesn't take a breath. They don't have suffering. They don't have pain. This is just, they have a blood supply and then they do not. And and that's how it happens. it's quite simple. The females tend to do really well after surgery as long as someone knows, what they're doing and is able to tie off all the vessels properly. It's not really a situation where there's a lot greater risk to the pregnant animal, and the unborn animals just don't know what's happening.
My next question was going to be about the mother. How does spay abort benefit the mother's long-term health and recovery, or how can allowing her to carry to term put her at risk?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's hard to say it exactly with every single one. Every case is going to be different, but as we just discussed, we know that these animals are often not getting the correct nutrition. They don't have vaccines on board. They can have ringworm, mites, all kinds of other things that are affecting them. And then you put a pregnancy on top of that, they're not set up for success, in this world, nor are the kittens that may be born. So in my opinion and my experience, spaying those cats is going to avoid a lot of health problems in the future. And then at least that's being pregnant and nursing kittens for several weeks is one thing they don't have to worry about. And then they can recover from whatever their things are. We've seen this in our feral cats. They've got skin problems, they've got old wounds, they've got, the flea, any number of those things that they can then heal from those things and then get better and move on.
All right, I want to open it up to the round table now, to the group, and remember to please introduce yourselves when you first speak. And this is really actually for all of you. I would like to know what you all see on a day-to-day basis, in the field, on the streets, rescues, shelters. How many cats are you seeing? What kind of conditions are they? What's your day-to-day?
Let me start? Sure. Hi, my name is Darrell Sackett. I'm the director of the Spay Neuter Action Project, and we run the Neuter Scooter, the Spay Center, and we're bringing in the Neuter Cruiser in January. So we do about 30 spay neuters a day at each location. And what we see, these are owned animals. What we see is, especially in the springtime, many of the pet owners in their consent forms, they will check off that, no, my cat is not pregnant, there's no chance she can be pregnant. If that cat goes outside once, if it's an indoor only cat, if that cat goes outside once, it's very likely that when we do the spay incision, she is pregnant. So there are quite a number of pregnant females at the Neuter Scooter and the Spay Center during the spring. And, what is the benefit to that? Now, one, the owner most likely is a low-income pet owner, because that's the service that we provide. Are they set up to allow this cat to have kittens, and then what are the chances of those kittens being spayed, vaccinated, and rehomed? They're just giving them away. And other pet owners that do come to us who the reason why they're bringing their female cat to be spayed in the first place is because they've already experienced a few litters, and they can't believe that their cat has had another litter of kittens so quickly while she's nursing, like you said. And so then it becomes that frustration with the pet owner that they don't know what to do with all these animals, and they're just giving them all away. So now we've just increased the population, and we've increased probably the number that are on the street, and the number that are in the shelters, the number that are feeding coyotes, the number that are hit by cars, the number that are spreading disease. So it's a very endless cycle. So spay and neuter is very clearly one of the key solutions to pet overpopulation, but it's also for health, safety, and benefit of the community.
My name is Lorette Perkins, and I'm a life volunteer, and I do TNR. And one of the things that I find is when I'm out doing a project, sometimes it takes us multiple days to get multiple cats. Sometimes we'll get a female and we'll take her in. She doesn't look pregnant at all. Turns out she was pregnant or very pregnant, but she was so thin even with the pregnancy, nobody knew. So that's kind of an unexpected thing that we find. Something else I find is the community will come up to us and ask us what we're doing. We try to educate them as well. And probably 50% of the time they come back and share with us, oh, I know a place that has lots of cats. Or my grandmother's apartment complex have all these feral cats and everybody feeds them, and some of them are friendly and they're always having kittens. The kittens usually get ran over by cars, and it just goes on and on. So we definitely do see that a lot. Something else that I notice when we're out doing a project. If we find kittens, sometimes alone, sometimes with a mother, there's usually one, maybe two. And I know that mom cat had more than one in her litter to begin with, so they didn't usually survive. But the ones that we do find, I have not yet brought a kitten home that didn't have fleas and worms. And more often than not, they have either eye infections and or respiratory infections. And had they not been rescued, most likely they would not have made it.
Hi, I'm Janine Nielsen, and I am with Guardian Angel Pet Rescue. We do TNR as well as fostering and adopting out friendly cats. And I'm also with an organization called The Rescue World, and we fundraise to help people with their spay and neuter. One of the big things that we have seen is it is definitely an increase in the number of animals that we are asked to rescue. A lot of it has to do with COVID kind of created what I call a second pandemic. It's a pet pandemic. The shelters closed down during COVID, and once they did start to reopen, we are now seeing the shelters in our area, which is San Bernardino, Riverside County, where they are managing their intakes and keeping their euthanasia numbers now down by not taking in the sheer number of animals that they were taking in prior to the pandemic. So that means more animals are on the street being born. I used to say that when an animal went into a shelter, they came out either adopted, rescued, or unfortunately euthanized. But at least they came out rescued and spayed, adopted and spayed, or not out at all. Those animals are now not going into the shelters, and they are having litter after litter after litter. One of the big things that has also hit us financially is a lot of these animals, when we do get them, they are, they have blown out eyes and they need eye enucleation, or they have prolapses, or many of them, like you said, fleas and flea anemia. We have seen an uptick in the number of cats that we have that have C. perf and trichomas, and these are not like they're healthy in a week or two. These are several months in our care before they're healthy. And that becomes very, very hard for us as a nonprofit. And many of these animals that we're getting are from colonies, and they're friendly colonies.
Hi, my name's Marie Scheffler, formerly with Daisy's Hope. They're on a hiatus, so pretty much an indie TNR right now. That's my big passion is TNR. I can't even keep up with the amount of calls in San Bernardino that we get. And usually they're wanting to find rescues for all the cats in their yard. And I tell them, first we have to stop the babies. We have to do TNR, then I can help you look for a rescue. But you got to stop the babies, otherwise it's a never-ending situation. And it's just, and I have several colonies that I've completed that are now showing up with cats. I have one, a cat just showed up 4 or 5 days ago, and I was looking at her and I said, I think she's nursing. We don't know where the babies are. I don't know how many babies. I don't know whether I should trap her now. Should I wait? I don't know. So if a cat goes in my trap, it doesn't come out unless it gets fixed. And unfortunately, if they're pregnant, then we have to just terminate that. We just can't. There's just not enough. I don't have enough fosters or adopters for the cats that are fixed in colonies and are friendly, let alone ones that are waiting to be born. So it's nonstop.
So the next question I had, and you guys have addressed this to a point for sure, is overpopulation a myth or a real and urgent problem? Thank you. So I'd like to hear just, an anecdote. Hang on. I would like to hear just an anecdote from each of you that proves this either way. And I'd like to start with Doc for the veterinary perspective.
Yes, there are too many.
Yeah.
That's the easy one. And I'll go back to what I said before, which is if you have been on the front lines, like all of you have, if you have been into a public shelter, which is tasked with taking everything that comes through its doors. I'm not talking about a private shelter that can tout themselves as no-kill, and that's great. We are all happy they're out there. But let's recognize the privilege they have, which is, oh no, thank you, we're full. Oh, I can't take that dog, it's aggressive. Oh, I can't, whatever the problem is, they're able to say no, and that's just how they operate. I personally think that anybody who wants to breed their animal or to not spay abort, great. I love that for you. Let's sign you up. We'll get you a waiver. You're going to pay money for it. And also, you're going to have to do a real quick 30 days in a public shelter and see what that looks like. I personally have seen, this is not cat related, but I think you get the point. When I was working at the Carlsbad shelter, I saw a guy drive up, open his car door, 7 dogs got out, closed the car door and left. And I wish I could tell you that was a one-time thing. I really wish I could, but it's not. And I just don't think that you can understand the scope of the overpopulation until you are in one of these situations and until you see all the animals coming in, until you work with people who do the euthanasia. And let's be honest, the people, we're all out there doing what we can. The people who are tasked with caring for these animals and then euthanizing these animals in the shelters, they're legends. Like, those people are out there, and they're not doing it because they want to. They're doing it because that's what's happening. There is a math problem here. It's animals in, animals out. It's space, it's money, and that's just the reality of where we are.
We receive about 60 to 90 calls each day of people needing help to spay and neuter. Now, these are people who want to do the right thing. I can't even guess what the number of people who are out there who don't want to do the right thing. So we're only, I was telling you before, we're fixing about 600 to 700 animals each month. And we're only helping 25% of the people that are calling us.
I want to throw in a piece of data that I found. This won't surprise any of you, but for any listeners out there, I've seen data that one unspayed female and one unneutered male in 7 years will produce 420,000 cats. From 2, because it's exponential. So, yeah.
67,000 dogs.
Yes. I found, did you guys have something, are you good with that point? Okay.
Statistic-wise, like every baby that's born, there are 45 cats that are born in the United States. So.
Yeah, that's a good one. I found some other data I wanted to drop. It's 2024 data via the Kitten Lady. Last year, more than 1.5 million kittens entered shelters. More than 1 million of them were under 8 weeks of age. Roughly 4 or 5 of those came in as a stray, meaning they were found on the streets. Close to 250,000 kittens, so 250,000 kittens, died in shelters in 2024. 173,000 of those were under 8 weeks old, and of those, 56% were euthanized, 44% died unassisted, meaning they came in off the streets, they were so sick, medical care didn't get there in time. Does this surprise anyone? Yeah, we all wish we could say it did, right?
San Diego SPCA numbers I saw were more, it's closer to 2 million cats, and
Could measure.
Yeah, and just put those numbers out as you will. But I think we can all agree that those animals that come in that condition are not having a good time. Those animals are suffering, and that's, I think, what everybody here, everybody in rescue we want to prevent animal suffering, and we can all disagree on certain things about our outside cat's a good idea. What does that do to the bird population? And I can understand where everybody comes down on something a little bit differently. We all have our lines in the sand, but animal suffering is number one. And I can tell you, with 30 years of experience and thousands of these spay aborts under my belt, that those animals, in my mind, do not suffer, and that is why I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah. Tammy, can I add?
Yep.
From a TNR perspective, the feral cats are nocturnal, and they behave nocturnally. So if you see a cat, there are lots more cats that you do not see. And one example, we had a cat that one of our feeders was feeding. She was adorable, and we fed her consistently until we felt comfortable that we could get her trapped. And we went out that evening to trap her, and 5 other cats showed up that night. And it took us a while, but we were able to trap them all. But we have never seen one of those 5 again in the daylight. We have a camera on her feeding station, and they still come regularly, but they're all fixed. But she comes, she can be seen during the day, but the others not.
And you guys stopped that 5 from being,
Yes.
20,000 or whatever it's going to be. I want to, it's related, and I want to hand it to you guys involved in rescue. So, but aren't there enough homes for all the cats in the world? Right. What's the problem here? Would you like to address?
Maria and I have another perspective. Sometimes I don't even think that a lot of these statistics even cover the base of the mental illness and the hoarding situation that is out there. And hoarding is not just done by people that are low income. Hoarding can be done by anybody. We have a home in the city that I live in. We have a university professor, very well respected, but he refuses to spay and neuter any of the cats in the home. And he has 50 plus cats inside the home now. And we've talked and asked him, can we separate the males from the females? That's all we want to do. You don't have to fix them. Just let us sex them for you and separate them. And they won't let that happen. And this is over and over and over again. Maria and I go into these properties and animals are left behind, or, and a lot of the people don't even realize that they're feeding them, but they're sick too. They have diabetes, thyroid issues. They're all dealing with, things that people I call them feeder breeders. Sorry for the term, but that's what I call them. They're feeding them, and that's the minimum care that they're getting. So the perspective is when we go into a lot of these communities, we're seeing this over and over again. The hardest part now is you talked about the number of emails that you get. We get emails and PMs daily. My private phone number is given away, and I get the calls and the text messages daily, and I just can't. It's very overwhelming. My own mental health is overwhelmed. And, I've been doing this now. Well, I started TNRing when I was in the 5th grade. I lived in a very low-income neighborhood, and I would babysit and I would spay and neuter all the animals in my neighborhood. I'm almost 60 years old now, and I'm still doing it, and it hasn't gotten any better, and the suffering I see has not gotten any better, and it's been very, very difficult. There's not enough homes.
On the way down here, I was telling her, I got called to help with a guy who had 15 cats inside his house. He didn't have the money to spay or neuter, so they were reproducing. First night I went there, I had 4 traps, and I said, let's concentrate on females. And he said, well, that one's female, but that one's pregnant, and that one's pregnant. And I said, okay, then let's take them first. And he goes, but they're pregnant. I said, do you need more cats in your house? And he said, nope. And we spayed them. Unfortunately, I'm not happy about it, but he already had 15. We didn't need 10 more adding to the issue. So
If there were enough homes, we wouldn't have these shelters. We wouldn't have
Right.
we wouldn't have these
Right.
problems. So that's where the math comes down.
Right.
That the proof is right there in front of you. Shelters are full. The shelters are full because too many people are bringing pets in. The shelters are full because their rescue partners are full, because their fosters are full,
not
because there just isn't
low-cost
enough.
spay and neuter.
Yeah, there just isn't enough space. And I would love to live in this perfect world where
Right.
all of these kittens get born and they have wonderful lives and they live for 20 years and everything's great. That, unfortunately, is not the reality that we all live with. So if there are other people out there who feel like this is not the case, again, I urge you to come work with the local rescue, see how many messages they get. I know when I was practicing here and I was working with LYFF, I mean, sometimes I would do a spay-a-palooza and do 50 a day by myself, and I got real good at it, and I was glad to do it, but that's a drop in the bucket. And I know that they had Christine, who runs LYFF, had a list. She had a Google sheet and was just constantly adding to it. So it just does not end. So I would say to anybody who says there's plenty of homes out there, tell me where they are. I love that. Let's find them. Let's get these cats over there, because that's what we all want, but it's not what we're seeing.
In San Diego County, there's 14 shelters. All 14 are full capacity. And then what you walk through and see, a full shelter, in the back, there's another building, there's another section, there's another room. Those were areas that were maybe a storage area. They've converted those into kennels. So it's full back there. And then they purchase a building to build another type of clinic or whatnot. No, that becomes more kennels. Because they are no-kill, because they are taking in as many as they can, they're just adding more space. Do we build more shelters? Is that the solution? No. There's 200 501c3 rescues in San Diego County, and that's not even the independent rescues. They are all full. So back to the question.
I think we would all love to be out of a job or a volunteer effort.
I would love to not have to trap.
Right,
I
right.
would love to not have to trap at
Right.
10 o'clock at night.
Right. So everyone agrees the fix for this is spay and neuter everything you can get your hands on, including,
Spay-
thank you,
spay
fix your
your
freaking
freaking
cats.
cat.
Yeah. And including the pregnant females. Yes, yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
Well,
Well-
nobody likes it.
Well, so here's my next question. What would you say to someone who feels emotionally conflicted about the idea of spay abort procedures? Do you want to start?
What I say is, do you need more cats at your house? Do you want to feed more cats? Do you want to, clean up poop for more cats? No, they're just, yeah. And the spay abort is a real touchy issue.
Yes.
And when I'm on Facebook and somebody says, this cat showed up at my house and it's pregnant, can anybody foster it with its kittens? I will private message them because I have to keep it kind of low key, and I always preface it with, I don't know how you feel about this, but here's what I can offer you.
Some people don't know it's an option, and they're not necessarily
Right,
against it, but
right.
they just assume that it's not available.
And they generally take it. I rarely have, because they don't want more cats at
They
their
see
house.
the end
Yeah.
game.
Anyone else?
From a TNR perspective again, a lot of our colonies that reproduce, we have inbreeding going on. And so those
Yes.
kittens that are born, they are born without limbs, they're born with handicaps. Even if they look perfectly fine on the outside, they have some internal issues with kidneys or livers, hearts, and you can't see that. And even if adopters adopt them, they find this out later and they become very expensive to treat and they have a very limited lifespan. And like I said, that happens frequently in the feral colonies because you've got sons breeding with moms, et cetera, et cetera. And so I just think that needs to be stopped. And unfortunately, you get a feral mom and she's pregnant, chances are those kittens are not going to thrive well, even if you find them the best of homes.
May I say something real quick? Of all the spay aborts that we have done, I've never had a complication.
No.
But I have seen complications of kittens being spayed
Yeah.
and neutered, but never a spay abort. They all do very, very well. Every spay abort that we've done, I'm not talking about your TNR ones, I am talking about the friendlies. They go on to find very loving homes very quickly because now they're not having to nurse their babies and going through all of that. So they recover, and within 2 weeks, most of those kitties are adopted, because we work really hard at it. We tell their story, then we have more room for more. We can tell a whole story about, how we found these mamas, and like you said, sometimes we find them super emaciated. We don't even know they're pregnant. And it tells a story. And a lot of people will come to, do adoptions of those. But a lot of times, we have probably close to 200 cats in foster care right now. We have sanctuaries for our non-adoptables that are waiting for placement for the ferals. And it's never ending. We're now getting calls as far away as other states, all the way down to the Mexico border, all the way up into Bakersfield, asking for help because they find us online. And if they can't find adopters there, where do you think they're pushing? They're pushing into other territories. Maria and I were just talking today. Normally, the Ventura, Santa Barbara County would normally take a lot of our cats down from our area. They're all full. The shelters are full up
rescues are
there.
full there.
They can't do any more. And that's this is our first year where we really see them full too. So.
Well, and I think it just goes back to the suffering question. How many of these do you want to have get born, have treatable or untreatable diseases, and then die on the street? So I understand it's a difficult situation, and none of us want to be in this situation where we have to do it, but difficult decisions need to get made because this is where we are. And for me, again, it just comes down to which of these is going to prevent more suffering. Will having these kittens and watching a mom nurse cute little kittens make me happy? Sure, that's great. We'd all love to live in that world where that's going to happen all the time. But we know that that takes resources from other cats that currently need help. We know that those cats might end up on the street again. Like, it's too many. And when you start to think of it in those terms of what will create a better life for more cats, then it becomes a little bit of an easier decision. Still not fun, but more realistic.
Last question is, anything else you guys want to bring up? I mean, are there topics we haven't covered? Any other messages you want to get out there? I know I want to say to everyone, spay and neuter your pets, please. Any pet you can find, spay and neuter the pets. Anyone else? No? Yeah.
Sure, I'll just add, I know we've been talking a lot about cats, but, the same problem is with dogs, and I'll reiterate what you were saying. There's rarely complications with any spay procedure, one, or spay abort procedure. There are more complications with them giving birth, especially with the trendy breeds right now, like Frenchies, they're C-sections.
They're not good at breeding on their own.
So how much is that, and what are the risks to those animals from there? Another trend right now, Huskies. They have large litters, and reducing the birth of those litters will help pet owners, the shelters. It's endless. So the procedure of spaying and neutering is very simple, especially if you're looking at a high volume clinic or any local hospital that does have high volume vet experience.
Mine is going to be, please go to your local rescue or talk to your veterinarian if you have any questions. We live in the internet age, and that is wonderful and terrifying. And there is a lot of information out there that is just flat out wrong. And we may be living in sort of a post-fact society where truth and expertise don't matter to some people, but I will always try to get people to do that too. Please don't go to just any place on the internet. Just like if you're talking to a person, vet that person. Is this a rescue? Is this a veterinary school website that you're going to? Is this your personal vet who you respect and have a relationship with? If you have questions about spaying or neutering or anything else that we're talking about, please go to somebody who has information that you can trust and not just a blog that maybe confirms something that you think might be true. Please dig a little bit deeper and go for some real good information out there, because people like that, there's people like this in your community. This is just a drop in the bucket. There are hundreds, thousands of really knowledgeable rescues out here that, yes, they have 30 emails in their inbox, but they're happy to get another one if that means giving out good information and helping to prevent animal suffering. They're here to do that, so please use them.
The last thing I would like to add about the spay abort process is I'm not a medical professional, but I did have the opportunity to assist in a spay and neuter clinic, and I observed a spay abort, and I will say it was a very peaceful process. And nobody was suffocated and thrown in the trash cans, or no kittens were suffocated, thrown in the trash cans. No needles were put into their hearts. It was just very serene and very peaceful and done very respectfully. And I think people need to know that if it's done properly, it can be done that way.
I would just like to recognize our veterinarians and all of them that do not just our high volume spay and neuter, but also the spay aborts. And, again, talking about the peaceful surgery that they go through, and there's not a lot of complications. We see all the time. We get calls from our veterinarians when a mama cat comes in and she's in the middle of having difficulty giving birth, and they can't always save the mom's lives. And now we have these babies that now are minutes old that we're having to care for, and the veterinarians reach out to us asking for help. And so the spay abort is always definitely the first point of what I think that we should do to stop this. And really, again, talk to your veterinarians, get to know them. They don't want to do unnecessary surgeries, and guess what? They're not allowed to either. They are state regulated, so just wanted to say that.
The last thing I'll say, been doing TNR for 11 years. I did shelter, return to field from shelter, pulled from shelter. I've taken thousands and thousands of cats for spay and neuter. I've never lost a spay abort. I've only lost 4 during surgery, and only 1 was a female. So surprisingly, the other 3 were males. So it's a safe surgery. Get your cats fixed, dogs fixed, spay, even if they're not yours. If they're neighbors, spay and neuter them all.
Don't kidnap them, but I also want to say, if you're moved by this and are aghast by all of these numbers as we are, the other thing you can do is support your local shelters and rescues and go volunteer, help socialize the cats, donate funds or resources or food or whatever it might be. Foster, making a space in your home for cats or kittens that aren't yet adoptable or are adoptable but are waiting for someone to find them can help us save more. People always say, I don't want to foster because I couldn't let them go. Yeah, but we also celebrate letting them go because that means we can save more. So that's another way you can help if you're moved, but if nothing else, please spay and neuter your pets. One more thing.
And if you're moved, contact your local city council members, state representatives. Let them know that supporting spay neuter in your jurisdiction is very important for your constituents.
Great, thank you. Well, I want to thank you all so much for joining us today. We really appreciate getting the broader perspective. We also have some friends from across the country who have some words to share with you on the same topic, and we thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Yo, Sterling Trap King Davis, here to let y'all know that cat overpopulation is a real thing, and the way to fix it is Trap-Neuter-Return. Get your traps out, baby.
Hi, I'm Steph Munden. I'm the founder of Peyton's Angels Worldwide, Inc., which is a TNR organization based out of Orange County, California. We're committed to fighting the overpopulation crisis on a daily basis. For example, what started off as 2 mama cats dumped by their owner quickly became a family of 10 when they were forced to deliver their kittens on the cold, harsh streets of Santa Ana. Now, this family was fortunately saved, but there are millions of other mama cats and their kittens out there that will continue to suffer. The only humane solution to this problem is TNR programs, which include spay abort. We're never going to have enough homes, and we're never going to adopt our way out of this situation.
Hi, my name is Deanne Smith, and I'm a former humane law enforcement officer and founder of Barn Patrol here in Central Florida. I've been involved in TNR for over 8 years, and I've worked TNR sites all across the United States, from Alaska to Hawaii, California to Florida. And I'm here to tell you the cat overpopulation crisis is real, and it's everywhere. The prevention of this pregnancy after pregnancy, litter after litter, the prevention is the compassion. Together, we can prevent suffering, and we can give community cats a healthier and safer life. Thank you.
My name is Carrie Ann May, and I run Animal Outreach of Shelby County in Indiana. I've been working in Trap-Neuter-Return for community cats for over 15 years. And the biggest reason we always spay, even pregnant cats, is this. There is a shortage of affordable spay-neuter appointments. Adding more kittens just means more cats competing for fewer appointments, and the cycle never ends. Spaying now gives us a chance to catch up, and that's what we really need to be able to save lives. Just a chance to catch up.
Hello, my name is Melissa Dene, Executive Director of Love Your Feral Felines. The topics that we discussed today can be very emotional, but these are necessary conversations for us to be having, and we thank you so much for joining us today in these difficult discussions. We dream of a world where rescues are redundant and where we're not needed anymore, where all the animals have homes and none of them are suffering. But that's just not the reality of where we're at right now. But we invite you to join us in this important work, because every life that we save begins with somebody that cared enough to take action.